suggested some sort of brand extension.
Ruthless aggression. Allow me to introduce you to the new general manager of Raw, Eric Bischoff.
Who in the green hell are you?
I lie, I cheat, I steal. And at WrestleMania, I just hear myself say 3 minutes. Well, let me tell you something, brother. Whoa.
Hi, you're listening to a winner's voice in me, Josh. Welcome to Dits versus Josh. I finally frickin' won, and I don't care how I won. I won. I'll do anything to win.
Yeah, I mean, I call foul play with certain people who even declared that they hadn't even listened to the episode and still voted for you. Even though the point is, who sold it better, Dits or Josh? How do you know that if you haven't listened?
I'm sorry.
But I'm not bitter.
I can't understand you because I don't speak loser. At least for this week.
I mean, I was going to say you're pretty fluent at least 7 times.
I'm catching up. Again, they don't call it a comeback for nothing. I'm the ultimate underdog. I will win. Although there's really no end date, but I will.
No. It's going to be like tied at like 250.
Forever.
Ooh.
Oh, imagine that. Ugh. I think I would rather lose than a draw.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh, well, none of us were good enough. Ugh.
Do that. I think I'll be dead by the time we even come close to finishing this show.
Well, I'm getting there,
We have a lot of years.
Woo! I don't know. I just like winning. It's really fun to win. So
I'd like stand by for can opening. Bang, there it is.
Oh, there we go. Cracking open a Red Bull, probably.
Energy drink.
Some kind, yeah.
It's the standard Dits versus Josh drink.
Is that a Rockstar?
Every week.
Yes. I can't drink energy drinks. It makes me really, really upset. I'm allergic to that fucking shit in it. And it makes me
guava
die.
or whatever the fuck it is.
Whatever.
Guava.
Yeah, whatever the fuck that shit is. It makes me like die. So I can't have energy drinks. So if I'm like tired, I'm just like, well, better go to bed. Like I can't just...
Gotta have your coffee.
Or just but coffee, I drink that much coffee that I think it's lost its effect on me, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I don't find coffee does anything for me. And if it does, it's literally, I will drink it at a key point if I'm watching a WWE pay-per-view at 2 o'clock in the morning and it doesn't actually kick in until the moment the show finishes. And then I go to bed. I'm just like, well, this sucks.
If I drink coffee in the nighttime and then I'm like, I want to stay up, and then I'm just tired, and I go to bed and I'm still tired, but then I just can't go to sleep because like the caffeine is there. So like it has that effect on me, but not to the point where I'm like, wow, like running around. I need to get some of that Death Wish coffee. You seen Death Wish coffee?
I haven't, but I'm intrigued.
It's 3 times the amount of caffeine in 1 scoop.
Oh.
So you have it and it's very strong. But you can get cold brew, you can get all different kinds of stuff, and it comes in like a big bag, and it has an actual warning label on it to say like, don't have like too much of this because you'll be like dying.
Dead.
Death Wish. But yeah, it's got 3 times the amount of caffeine. This not sponsored, by the way, but Death Wish Coffee, if you're listening, I will sponsor you. I'm sure Dits will as well.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, so if you're listening, Death Wish Coffee, we will take a sponsorship. But yeah, it's like I've never had it. But I've seen it, and I'm like, maybe I should get that, because maybe I could cut back on the amount of coffee I'm drinking in the day and just have 1 in the morning and be, like, raring to go. Instead of having,
just need 1 power-up. That's what you need, 1 power-up in the morning. That's it.
Like Mario, when he runs into his little thing, and he's like, doo-doo-doo, and he gets bigger or whatever. So, yeah, maybe I need that. I'll look into some Death Wish coffee.
And then contact them to give us some money to sponsor the show.
Yeah, definitely. So it's 2 things.
And then we get it for free.
Yeah, hey, I want some free. I like anything for free. I'll take. Unless it's like crack or something like that. Well, depends on the day, I guess.
Save it for Mondays.
Well, it is Friday today, by the way, everybody. I know you're listening to this on a Friday. It's just for 1 week. Don't worry. We won't be here next week because of Backlash, because we have to watch the greatest wrestling match ever. So it's for good reason, I guess. So we'll be back, you know, a week from Monday, back to normal. But, you know, us, we don't do pay-per-view weeks because it interferes with recording and all that. But we will be watching the greatest wrestling match ever. So that would be... It'll either be the greatest wrestling match ever or we'll be extremely let down. There's only two ways it can go. We haven't seen it yet, so we can't for sure say that it's not going to be the greatest wrestling match ever, because we don't know.
I just love that Edge and Orton have been taking the piss out of that tag all week. I'm just sat back and enjoying the greatest coffee ever.
I'm convinced that it's going to be an RKO or a spear, and that's it. I'm convinced it's going for like 10 seconds.
Imagine that.
I would be thrilled. I'd be like, that's amazing. But they're like, I do see what they're doing, and they're doing a very good job. Like, you type greatest wrestling match ever, and that's going to be everywhere on a search engine.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a smart business tactic. I can't hate it. I can't hate it at all. But it is what it is. But we'll be watching Backlash next week, so you'll hear our voices again. But that's why this is on a Friday, so it's basically not that much of a gap. It's only a few days extra. So
flagship with for a week. Oosh.
Well, Dits vs. Josh has been doing very well. It's been doing very well in my downloads. I never talk about numbers, and I will never give exact numbers, but it has been doing very well. So, everyone listening, I guess you like this. I like this.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you like this?
Well, it's got me on it, so of course you'd like it.
Or not, as the case may be.
I talk about crack and stuff. So, you know. Shall we get into the shows?
I guess we should. That's what the good people are here for.
Yeah, because
and I think we've got two good shows this week as well.
I have a very pivotal show in what, like, the future of wrestling. It's like very like, oh, this happened, you know, kind of stuff. June 10, 2002, Atlanta, Georgia, the Phillips Arena to be exact. Atlanta. We know what. Thank you, Atlanta. How are you, Atlanta? Do you remember that Super Bowl performance of Maroon 5? And he said, "Hey, Atlanta." No. He went, "Hey, Atlanta." It was weird. And someone will know what I'm talking about. They'll be like, yes, Maroon 5, whatever his fucking name is, Adam Levine or whatever. He said
there
that.
it is.
It was, Atlanta. He just kept doing that over and over again. I was like, shut up, mate. It was a bad Super Bowl performance. Ugh. But yeah, we are in Atlanta, the hotbed of WCW. Yeah, no? Atlanta was WCW?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was. Their stomping grounds, yes.
So who starts the show on a WCW and like WCW land? Ric Flair, of course. Why wouldn't Ric Flair start the show of Raw? It seems to be happening every week. Ric Flair, and he's talking. Shocker, because of course he lost to Steve Austin last week, and he would now have to be Steve Austin's, what was it, assistant or something? Was it?
Yeah.
You know my show.
Do you watch your own show?
I can't remember, dude. Like, listen, it's been like a week and a bit. So, he said he come to Atlanta tonight to take it like a man, though. And, yeah. So, whose music hits? Vince McMahon's music hits. I get Vince tonight. Vince McMahon comes to the ring. He's not supposed to be on Raw, obviously, because he's the owner of SmackDown, not Raw. He says that he created this show nearly 10 years ago. At that point, it was only nearly 10. It wasn't even 10 years. It was 9 years at that point. That's crazy that it's been that long since this has aired. Because sometimes it doesn't feel like that long. It's like, oh, that was just the other day. But it's not. Like, that was, 18 years ago that this aired.
Making me feel old.
Wow. So basically, he said that Ric Flair's pretty much put Raw in the toilet. I was like, oh. And he says, quite frankly, Ric Flair sucks as the owner of Raw. Rick apologizes and asks Vince what he proposes they do about it. He says that this isn't for his own ego. He says to Rick, Vince says, and he says that he can't go another day with Ric Flair owning half of WWE. And Flair's like, what? So Vince says that tonight he proposes that he and Flair have a match, a no-holds-barred match for 100% ownership of WWE. And Flair accepts by strutting. He starts strutting and then just says woo, and the match is made. So
Who
our
needs
main
words?
Yeah, he just struck. I believe he took off his jacket. I don't know. But yeah, Flair and Vince, 100% ownership of WWE on the line in the main event. Vince got a massive pop, by the way. It was huge. I was like, oh shit, here's Vince.
Yeah, it's legit as well because yours is live.
Yeah, I don't get piped in reactions. I get live.
Yeah.
Atlanta loves Vince. Hey, Atlanta. So yeah. We go backstage and guess who's there? Guess who's there? You'll never guess.
NWO.
Oh, I didn't know. That's a surprise, isn't it? Nash, X-Pac, and Big Show are outside the NWO bathroom. They get their own bathroom, apparently. And for some reason, I don't know why this is so weird to me, but Nash is talking to X-Pac and Big Show, and he says, you can't go in there because Shawn Michaels is having private time. Was he touching himself? Or was he just taking a shit?
He's getting his smile back.
Honestly. And Big Show's a little antsy because he had Mexican food and he keeps on burping and farting and he needs to find a bathroom.
Oh.
So he exits and X-Pac is exiting as Booker T comes in and says, he doesn't even say hello to Nash. He just says he likes Shawn Michaels' entrance music and then does a Booker T version where he says, I'm just a sexy sucker.
But being a sucker was a bad thing.
Well, I thought so too, okay? I don't know. It was a weird segment. Someone was shitting, someone was touching themselves, someone was singing. And X-Pac was there. We go to a 6-man tag match, and the NWO are back. It's X-Pac, Booker, and Big Show taking on the team of Shawn Stasiak, Spike Dudley, and Tommy Dreamer. And it's a mess.
I can see where this is going.
This 6-man tag is a fucking disaster. There's just shit happening. I can't even understand. I was just like, what the hell? At one point, Tommy Dreamer nearly pins Booker T. He nearly goes over. And then after that, it's just NWO dominate. And I want to say that, oh shit, I think Booker goes over. Or is it X-Pac? It's one of them. I watched it last night and I'm like, who went over? It was a disaster, but the NWO won. Yeah, in the middle of the match though, they cut to backstage and Nash and Shawn Michaels are heavily discussing something in the dressing room, but we don't hear. I don't know. But after the match, Booker gets the microphone, says cut the music, and proceeds to do a spin-a-rooney because that's what the people want to see.
I half expected Tommy Dreamer to be eating Big Show shit.
He did nothing. He did nothing weird. It was just a weird team of Stasiak, Spike, and Tommy Dreamer. Okay. Odd.
Good old Stasiak.
Okay, so we go backstage and Booker T is there again. We get more Booker. He's celebrating and then he hears a, hey, Book. Booker's like, what the fuck? And out comes Goldust in an afro and like a 70s disco shirt and says, I'm your undercover brother. And he basically says that Booker's like, I told you, you can't get in the NWO. I tried. And he says, I'm worried about you, Booker, because with Shawn Michaels as the leader of NWO, he doesn't appreciate, in his words, this is Goldust's words, he doesn't appreciate their kind. I don't want to elaborate on that at all.
Ooh.
Go to an interview. Terry Runnels is interviewing the great Molly Holly.
Yay.
And Molly's pissed at Trish for last week's antics with the whole underwear, throwing it in her mouth kind of deal, she's pretty annoyed at that. But Molly also says that she has a problem with Terry So she has a problem because she brings out the WWF, or WWE, I should say, WWE at that point, obviously, Diva magazine, and Terry is the big photo display this month. And in Molly's words, you can nearly see Terry's nipples. So it's disgusting, I guess. But in walks Trish, and she's looking, Trish is looking. Molly's like, what the hell? What the hell are you looking at, Trish? Trish is like, I can see why you're so angry. Molly's like, because I want the women's championship. She's like, no, because you have a huge ass.
Well,
I was like, what? And King, by the way, climaxed at this stage. He was like, yeah, she does.
Naturally.
And I was like, oh no. And then Molly says that Trish is an absolute disgrace to the women's championship, and she's not what a true champion should be. A true champion should be pure and wholesome, and not what Trish Stratus is. But Trish says, okay. Molly actually challenges Trish to a match, and then Trish says, okay, Molly, I accept. If you win, if you beat me tonight, you can have a shot at the WWE Women's Championship. But if you lose, you have to wrestle next week against me while wearing a thong.
Oh my.
And then Trish proceeds to go just like this one and pulls down her wrestling gear to show her thong, and King went nuts. And then Molly walked away covering her bum. Because it's big, I guess. I don't know.
What a segment. What a segment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. Molly has a big ass, is what we learnt from that. And Trish likes to wrestle in thongs, and she also wants to wrestle other people while they wear thongs. And also we can nearly see Terry's nipples, apparently, according to Molly. Oh, and I didn't know if you knew this, but Molly's a virgin.
I've heard through the grapevine.
Uh-huh. Okay, we're backstage still. Ric Flair, Eddie Guerrero, and Chris Benoit, because that's an alliance that's been
Why
happening.
do you still have Benoit?
I don't
Surely
fucking
at this point he's now healthy. So why the fuck do you have a SmackDown guy? It's annoying. Although the more you have Benoit, the less awkward it is for me. So you can keep him. I
mean, I don't know though. Benoit and Guerrero are concerned about Flair's match tonight. He's like, I don't know if this is a very good idea. And Flair's like, back off. He's like, dude, I've been trying to get a deal that gives me you in regards to Benoit on Raw. Flair's been trying to get that deal, but it's just nothing is working out. He said, after everything tonight though, that won't be an issue. I'll be able to get you as a member of Raw because I'll be sole owner of WWE. And Benoit is like, yeah, right. Yeah, all right. He looks a little, skeptical, but he's like, okay. And that's the end of that segment. We got a European Championship match. William Regal defending against the Hardcore Champion Bradshaw.
Yeah.
The Tough Enough 1 contestant, Chris Nowinski, is in the front row.
Oh.
Remember Chris Nowinski? He's there.
I do.
The match doesn't go very long because Chris Nowinski jumps the rail and he actually tosses a pair of brass knucks to William Regal for Regal to knock out Bradshaw while the referee isn't looking and pick up the win. And Nowinski and Regal leave together. Get Trish Stratus versus Molly Holly next. Yeah, we go match back to back, by the way. I know, no backstage segment in between. Trish Stratus, Molly Holly. The whole time, King had just had to tell us how huge Molly Holly's ass is. That was literally what I taken away from the commentary of this. It was a fine little match, nothing too crazy. But Molly does an absolutely sensational Molly go round to pin Trish Stratus and earn herself a championship match. So Molly went over. But she did the Molly go round, and then King had to proceed to say, imagine that caboose landing on you over and over and over again. I was like, shut the fuck up, King. Fuck's sake. And then the underwear that Trish Stratus had thrown in Molly's mouth last week was Molly actually got it out of her pocket and proceeded to strangle Trish Stratus with them. Right around her neck. But she's earned... The thing is here, Molly Holly, the great and almighty, pure and wholesome Molly Holly, has won herself a right to face Trish Stratus for the Women's Championship.
I'll be interested to see how that goes.
Story building, you know? Okay, Vince McMahon and Arn Anderson are backstage. Which is odd.
And you tell me he goes, creepy Vince.
Yeah, here we go. He's like, fondle the testes of one Arn Anderson. Arn asks what Vince is thinking. And Vince basically just says, I'm willing to risk everything to beat Ric Flair here tonight. It's my destiny to beat Ric Flair. And basically, Vince says, you've also taken a huge calculated risk coming in and talking to me since you're friends with Ric Flair. And Vince proceeds to slap Arn Anderson right in the mouth. See ya, Arn. And then Arn walks away by saying, I hope you're prepared for an early retirement tonight when Rick beats you. There's a quick little thing from Flair about Austin. Now, one Steve Austin last week did beat Flair, but Steve Austin has decided not to show up tonight. There's nothing really more said, but this is the date, June 10, 2002. It's a very pivotal date. It is the date that Stone Cold Steve Austin legitimately walked out on WWE. We don't see Austin for a hot minute. Creative differences. He's made it pretty known that he didn't want to... It's not that he didn't want to lose to Brock Lesnar. He didn't want to lose to Brock Lesnar with no build, basically. That was the...
I think that's fair.
Yeah, when you're a star...
Not the way he went
big as
around
Austin.
it, but...
No, not... Well, yes and no. If they were budging, and Austin was, I think, pretty unhappy for a little while leading up to this, and this was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. But, yeah, Austin is gone. So I'm not going to be talking about Austin for a hot minute. That's for certain. I'm sure, I think they mention it more in coming weeks, but we'll have to wait and see. But that is what's mentioned of Austin here tonight was Flair. That's it.
Bye.
Yeah. King of the Ring qualifying match is up next. We got Rob Van Dam taking on Eddie Guerrero. This match is fine, but it doesn't get enough time to be anything like their other previous encounters. And RVD ends up going over with a roll-up.
A lot of that going on in 2002.
But it was kind of like an odd roll-up because it looked like Eddie got his shoulders up, but they called it. But yeah, even the commentary team was like, was that a 3? I'm not sure if that was a 3 and blah, blah. But nonetheless, RVD went over and he advances to King of the Ring in a couple of weeks. Oh. Yeah. The amount of times they told me King of the Ring was in Columbus, Ohio, I couldn't tell you the amount of times I heard that on this show. I'm like, I get it. I'm not going to Columbus. I ain't allowed to right now. So just, I'm not going.
Shut up.
But they really wanted me to go to Columbus, I'll tell you that. We're backstage with Coach, Kevin Nash, and Shawn Michaels. Coach tries to get a word with Shawn, but he goes right into the NWO dressing room because they have their own bathroom and their own dressing room. So Shawn was like, piss the fuck off, basically.
Everyone's natural reaction to Coach.
Yeah, go away. Please, sir, go away. So yeah, there's that. All right, let's move on to this very good fucking segment, like a very good segment. The Undertaker comes out, and he's riding out on his bike. He cuts a really, really, really good promo. Something I've noticed of the Undertaker's time, in the short time that he's been Undisputed Champion thus far, is that he's willing to work with anybody. Like, every week he's working with somebody different and making them not look terrible. Like, none of them have looked terrible working with the Undertaker. And that's something that Hulk Hogan did not do, I noticed. And that's just judging Hogan on that little time that he was champion. But I'm judging on nothing else. He did not do a very good job of helping others as champion, where Taker is.
I don't think that's a surprise.
Well, no, that's not a surprise at all. But yeah, he obviously Taker addresses Triple H last week. They got into some kind of a little brawl, didn't they? Or some kind of a
did, yes.
Little thing on SmackDown. So they show us highlights of that. And basically just says Triple H better watch his back because there's blood in the water.
Ooh. Ooh.
And at King of the Ring, he's going to beat the holy hell out of Triple H. Yeah.
I like that.
Meat and bones of this. Undertaker addresses Jeff Hardy. There's footage last week, obviously, of Hardy kicking Undertaker into a pile of vomit. Undertaker says that I've never been more embarrassed and more disgusted than landing in a human vomit. He says the word human in it too. I noted that because I was like, I don't know why he kept saying human. Because even JR was like, human vomit as opposed to. And I was like, okay, well, all right. But he calls out Jeff Hardy. He wants Jeff Hardy. The Hardy Boys music hits, but it's not Jeff that comes out. It's Matt with a ladder.
Ooh. Ooh.
Matt says that last week, Undertaker, you disrespected me. And he said, it's time for you to get your due. It's time for you to get your time. And Jeff Hardy comes out from the crowd, gets on the top rope, attempts to attack the Undertaker, but ends up eating a chokeslam. Matt runs in to get involved. Undertaker starts beating up Matt Hardy, sets him up for the last ride, but Jeff comes in from behind with a little chop block, and the Hardys actually start beating their holy hell out of the Undertaker. They bring the ladder in, ram the Undertaker with the ladder, and basically, you know the deal where Matt sets up the ladder, then Jeff goes to the top rope, and then he does like the leapfrog over the ladder and does like a leg drop? Did that to the Undertaker. And I was like, oh, right on. Hardy's music plays, and they get a nice little like one up on the Undertaker, which is nice.
That was good.
Wonder what they're saying.
I like that there's two different things going on because there's zero mention of anything to do with Taker and the Hardys on SmackDown. So I like that he's got his thing on SmackDown and his thing on Raw, and it's kept separate. I like it.
And it's very different. Triple H at that point is the formula. That's what you should be doing, and you'd be silly not to do that program. But then the Hardys is not a proven formula at that stage in a main event picture. At that stage, which is a fair assessment, I think. We go backstage, of course, and Terry is there with Regal. She asks about the relationship between Regal, and Chris Nowinski. Regal says that that Chris Nowinski isn't just someone from Tough Enough. He graduated from Harvard at the top of his class. And he says that he's the first WWE wrestler to graduate from Harvard. Yeah. And in that segment, as they're kind of conducting the interview, Jeff Hardy runs into the camera. I'm talking into the camera, and ends up jumping into a vehicle and drives off. I guess he's trying to get the fuck away from the Undertaker, to be honest.
I don't blame him.
We got a King of the Ring qualifying match. Brock Lesnar versus Steve. No, he's fighting Bubba Ray Dudley. This would have been the match that Brock was going to fight Steve Austin, I would assume.
And you get Bubba instead.
Same
what a magical time.
Same thing, I guess. Honestly, a good match. It's a good match. These two they've been building for a while, and they have a pretty good match. Bubba nearly wins at one stage, but Heyman pushes the leg, so he can does the heel manager shit. And then he gets in the ring. Bubba goes to attack Heyman. Heyman gets out of the way, and he eats an F5. Also, Brock Lesnar has his music now.
Ah, that's good.
He's got his music. I was like, this is better. Brock wins. He's going to King of the Ring 2002. We go backstage to Vince McMahon and he has a visitor,
Ooh.
Paul Heyman.
Oh. Two creeps together.
Yeah, the two creepiest. They just start jerking each other off. That's the segment. No, they don't. Well, kind of. So Vince is getting ready for his match. He's all jacked up, Vince all jacked in his singlet, and Vince was a big man. Vince still kind of is in a weird way. Even if he is 104. Like, he's a big dude.
I saw him on the Last Ride documentary when I think it was like episode 3, and it showed Taker and Michelle going to see him about what his plans for WrestleMania were, and Vince has literally just come out of the gym and he's fucking hench.
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Jesus.
He's old as fuck. But yeah.
Here's me with a dad bod.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Paul Heyman enters the room and said he hopes Vince wins tonight. He really does. He hopes he gets 100% ownership. And Paul Heyman proceeds to tell Vince to think about the next big thing. And walks out. Gives him a little wink and walks out. And Vince is like, yeah. All right. So we go in the ring, and it's Shawn Michaels and the NWO. Shawn says WWF like 3 times in this promo, by the way, and he has to correct himself every time. He says that back when he was in the WWE, it was full of garbage men. He said that there was always one thing real about the WWE, and that was Shawn Michaels. He says it's written all over everything. Everyone knows how I am, but I was real. And he says at WrestleMania 14, when WWE passed the ball to Steve Austin, he said he had no problem with Stone Cold stealing his spotlight, although it didn't work out very well for them right now.
Oof.
He says he has no problem with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he says the fans always determine the direction of the WWE. But then he blames the fans at the same time for that direction of the WWE because, again, it didn't work out for all of you very well right now. A few little
That's
jabs.
a shoot.
And a few little jabs in there. He begins to explain, though, why he's here. He's not to wrestle. He said he'll never, ever do that again because it was one mistake. He'll never make the same mistake twice, he said. So he's not here to wrestle. He says that HBK is dead because the fans killed him. But he says there's one man that stood behind him every single step of the way. And he says that man is his best friend in the world, Kevin Nash. So out comes the rest of the NWO. Shawn ends up just jerking Kevin Nash off for a little while before we get to what we need to get to. He goes through each member of the NWO, and he goes to Big Show and says, I understand why you're in the NWO. Look at you, you're huge. No one wants to mess with you. Goes to X-Pac and says, you're the best worker in the business at the moment.
Interesting.
I was like, each their own. And he says that he's the most talented. He needs to be in here. And then he says he started to think, and boom, super kick to Booker T. And he says, you're the reason the NWO is in stupid comedy stuff. You're the reason. So he kicks him out. And then says Booker T tried to steal the spotlight of the NWO, and that's not happening anymore because this is the NWO. HBK, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, Nash, Big Show, leave Booker laying in the ring while the NWO music plays.
Oh.
See ya, Booker. You lasted about 3 or 4 weeks.
Paving the way for gold dust or book dust.
Book dust. All right, main event time. This is what we're here for. This is what we're here for. A no holds barred main event. Vince McMahon versus Ric Flair, with the winner gaining 100% ownership of all of WWE. Strap yourself in. All right, here we go. It's a fucking brawl that starts with Ric Flair nearly instantly bleeding. Like, I'm talking, they went outside, they did like 2 moves, and Flair was gushing. He was just bleeding like crazy. They go over the guardrail. They brawl in the crowd. They use chairs. They use announce tables. Again, Flair is profusely just like bucketing. He's bucketing out his blood at this stage. this is just, it's not, obviously when you're in there with Vince McMahon, it's not going to be a technical classic. This thing is going to be a slugfest, and that's what this is. It's honestly really fun to watch because it's like, holy fuck, like this is just, they're just throwing blows and they're bleeding and everything. And here's where it gets funny. We go just through some more brawling, and then Vince McMahon ends up low blowing Ric Flair, not once but twice. Goes for the pin, and Ric Flair kicks out. We get more chairs in the ring, and Vince does this run up where he's got the chair over his head, and he's running. Ric Flair's in the corner, and he runs from the other corner. Lawn darts it with the chair, and instead of having the chair in the spot where Ric Flair would kick it, he had it too high up, and Ric Flair went to kick the chair, and it just went over his face, and Vince is like, "Wah!" Like just falling on the ground. And I'm like, oh no. But Flair takes control. That's what I should add. As Arn Anderson comes to the ring. Here comes Arn. He's ringside now. And here's where it gets real funny is Flair gives his receipts for those low blows because he gives Vince not one, not two, but 3 low blows in a row. To the 50% owner, this is grapefruits, as you would say. And then he locks in the figure 4 on Ric Flair. Arn ends up getting into the ring because he's in Ric McMahon's face. He's right in there like, F you, bitch. Flair's about to win. But Brock Lesnar jumps in the ring. And Arn's like, oh no. And Arn backs away before Vince. Vince has been in this hold for a little while. He still hasn't tapped out. And Lesnar ends up dropping an elbow to Ric Flair. Gives him an F5. Vince McMahon crawls over. Covers for the 3. Vince McMahon has won 100% ownership of all of WWE. For some reason, Ric Flair is a fucking babyface again. There was so many shots to the testicles in that match. It was honestly kind of fire. But, yeah, Brock Lesnar helped Vince McMahon.
I like that. It's not long, actually, to be fair. When things start to happen.
So, yeah, Vince is 100%... 100% owner. That's what I was saying. I was getting there. Interesting.
I actually might go back and watch that match.
Honestly, I would, because it's just kind of, it's a disaster, but it's like fun. It's fun.
I'm all for Vince McMahon going over Ric Flair.
Me too. Vince McMahon going over anybody is hilarious to me. McMahon's in general, I'm just like, yeah, right. They should win. Like, I found it hilarious when Stephanie came back to fight Brie Bella in one match. And you're like, oh, Stephanie's not going to beat a current superstar. But it's like, no, Stephanie won.
Did she actually look like quite good in that match? If I remember rightly, I might be wrong.
The Brie and Stephanie match, everyone's like, because it's like everyone hates Stephanie and everyone hates the Bellas. But that match was actually, for what it was, like, it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I'm like, this is alright, actually.
Stephanie's fine. But yeah, of course Stephanie went over. It's Shane. He was the best wrestler in the world. Like, of course he was. He's a McMahon, and people just can't take that anymore. I can. I love the McMahons.
I like the McMahons.
I have no issue with all of them. I like them all. So, and it's funny to me when they win. Like here, when old mate Vince went over Ric Flair after hitting him in the balls. Hilarious. And
it is the catalyst for the creepiest of Vinces over on SmackDown this week as well.
Testes are hurting, so he's got what to do. All right, well, let's get to it. Let's get to some smacky downs.
Oh, some SmackDown. So SmackDown this week is from Greenville, South Carolina.
Ooh.
And it opens to a ring full of security guards and a table and 2 chairs. So some would think it's a contract signing, and they would be right to think that. Vince comes down to the ring, stands on the table to deliver a promo, and basically boasts about his Raw victory, how he's now 100% owner, and basically calling the fans peasants. He goes like, he goes, there's rich people, but he says, I'm filthy rich, and all this shit. Keeps going on about it. But anyway, he goes, let's get down to business. and introduces The Undertaker and Triple H. And it's the best contract signing I've ever seen, ever. There is no talking. There's no microphones on the desk to begin with, so there's no temptation to even pick that up and talk. And there's no fisticuffs. Undertaker sits down at the table, signs the contract, pushes it over to Triple H. Triple H throws the chair out the ring and hits a cameraman accidentally. I don't think that was in the script, but he does that and then signs the contract. Done. And Vince goes, right, that's it. It's official. Triple H, Undertaker at King of the Ring for the Undisputed title. Done. Contract signing over.
Wow.
Amazing. So I'm not counting what happens next as part of that contract signing.
Oh, okay. Cop out.
Because Vince said it's over at this point, so I'm going with that. So Vince is walking up the ramp with the contract in his hand. A couple of security guards have followed him on, but some security guards remain in the ring, and they grab Triple H, allowing the Undertaker to attack. So he gets a couple of shots in, but Triple H then gets his own back on Taker, then starts grabbing loads of security guards, throwing them around, throwing them into steps, punching them, all that good stuff. And then he grabs a sledgehammer. Shock, horror, Triple H grabs the sledgehammer, and everybody fucking hightails it. They run away. There's probably about, I don't know, there was like 2, 4, 6, 8. There's probably about at least 12 security guards in this ring, and the Undertaker and Vince. And they all ran away from one man with a sledgehammer. I think there's some overpowering that could have been done there, but by the by, they all shoot off, including the Undertaker. He fucking sprints off as well. And Triple H said he's not leaving the ring unless he gets Taker tonight. He said he doesn't care how he does it. He just wants Taker in the ring tonight so he can kick the crap out of him, basically. He said he wants his ass. Tasty. And while he's just chilling in the ring, not leaving, he grabs a security guard from the outside and pedigrees him just for shits and giggles.
Nice.
And then we go to a break, and when we come back, Triple H is still in the ring. He's keeping his word. He's not leaving until he gets the Undertaker. But randomly, Billy, Chuck, and Rico are stood up on the stage with steel chairs. And Rico's like, says, "Look, I'm supposed to be competing, and you're in the ring. Like, get out. You have no business in there." And then Billy Gunn starts getting incredibly pissed off. He's just like, "Why the hell are you not leaving?" He says, "Like, are you for real? Get the fuck out of the ring." Triple H responds to Billy with this, and this is an actual quote: "I'm really glad that you and your partner, air quotes, have found a whole new meaning to the phrase, suck it. But if you come to this ring, the only thing you're sucking on is this sledgehammer."
Oh my God.
Tasty. Chuck's obviously not happy with that comment, so he sprints into the ring with a chair, but he gets clocked. Triple H hits the sledgehammer into the chair with Chuck holding it, bang into the face. That good old spot.
The fuck.
And then he falls out of the ring, and then Billy, Rico, and Chuck then scamper off. So Triple H carries on, calling out Vince again, saying, "Look, give me what I want, or I'm staying where I am." And he goes, "In fact, I'm going to make sure there's no SmackDown tonight. And I'm going to start," he said, "Oh, you need an announce desk to have a SmackDown. You don't really. You could probably get away with not having commentators for a TV show, but there you go." So he starts destroying the announce desk with his sledgehammer. Then he moves on to the monitors because you can't have a SmackDown if you don't have ringside monitors. And while he's doing this, there's a camera angle that shows one of the security guards that literally got punched by Triple H. That was it. He got punched by Triple H, and he's still selling that punch 10 minutes later by the ringside barrier. Like he's like full on. He's not just lying there. He's full on selling this thing. So fair play to that security guard. Triple H says that it's starting to cost Vince a lot of money now, and he said it's about to get even more expensive. And he goes for the cameraman and grabs the camera. And bearing in mind, throughout this whole thing, Michael Cole is constantly going on about how much all these things cost, like how much the announce desk cost. It was like, these are $5,000 monitors, and now he's gone for a $50,000 camera. And that upsets Vince enough for him to come out and say, "Look, enough is enough. I'll give you what I want you to have, but not exactly what you want." So he says he's going to place Triple H in a tag match tonight. It's going to be Triple H and Hogan versus Undertaker and Kurt Angle. So Trips is just like, that's fine by me, and destroys the camera anyway.
Nice.
Because babyface.
Yeah.
That's what they do. 50 grand, that camera, apparently. There you go.
Yeah.
And it's not the last time you'll hear how much that cost, because
Okay.
I don't know why there's bragging about money,
I'm
but there
hanging
you go.
on every word for it.
We have a King of the Ring qualifying match. It's Test versus the Hurricane. And before we get into the match, we get an Earlier Tonight segment. And you're going to like this because it's Nydia.
Yes! Nydia, what a woman.
So Nydia caught Hurricane backstage and she goes, stand back, there's an ex-champion coming through. It's an accurate quote. And Hurricane tells Nydia to use her famous oral skills to tell him where Noble is. And she goes, oh, I love it when you get confrontational. It really turns me on.
Oh, God.
She goes,
By the
"You'll be
way,
seeing-"
Dits, I have to comment on that accent. Oh, baby. It's, I will, the word I would use is you're committed. And I appreciate that, but committed would be the word.
It's such a hard, like,
It's
southern drawl.
Hey there, girl. You're very whiny.
And that's not it. She goes, you'll see my boyfriend real soon.
Oh, the way you said boyfriend. Oh.
And then Hurricane kind of like lingers around the back of her. Is just like, he goes, I'll take him anytime. And then walks around to the other and he goes, and I'll take him any place. And then Nydia turns and licks him.
Oh no.
As you do. So I've actually put Nydia kicks him here, but she definitely doesn't kick him. It's a full-on lick. And then Hurricane leaves. But the match itself is short. It's actually a non-event at this point after you've seen all that Nydia shit. Hurricane gets some offense in, and it would be segment of the night, but just you wait. Just you wait. Hurricane nearly wins with the eye of the Hurricane, but ultimately Test wins when he hits his Test Drive spinning net breaker to advance to the King of Ring tournament. And shockingly, Nydia and Jamie Noble come down. Noble starts slapping him. Nydia's like holding him up, and then he's just like, yeah, boy, yeah. And then they're like, oh, you want to go, baby? You want to turn? And then he's holding Hurricane, and Nydia goes to slap him, but then stops. And then takes his mask off, revealing the Hurricane to be Gregory Helms. And then starts slapping the hell out of him. And no Nydia and Jamie Noble segment is complete without a smooch from the pair.
Of course.
With Jamie wearing Hurricane's cape at the same time.
Why not?
So, yeah. And just like with Raw, we have back-to-back matches.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Tajiri versus Hardcore Holly in a King of the Ring qualifying match. And it's actually pretty good. It's for what it is. It's a fun little match. And Tajiri actually probably got the most offense out of the two of them. And there was a weird spot. I'm trying to remember it the best I can, but I don't know if it was like a shoot thing that Holly did. But Tajiri gets power slammed, but sells it as if he's been hit in the face with a nuke. So he's like lying there, like just dead to the world, not moving, and Holly's like dragging him around, and he drags him into like the middle of the ring, and then full on slaps Tajiri in the face. So it's almost like Tajiri was sandbagging, and Holly's like, you fucking bitch, boom, slaps him, and then literally within 2 seconds Tajiri is like up on his feet. So I don't know. Maybe I'm looking into it. I don't know, but ultimately it leads to a tarantula in the corner. Which Holly takes. He takes the full 4 seconds of the tarantula, but then transitions it into an Alabama slam for the free count.
Of course. Oh, that's like a cool little transition I'm thinking of in my head. Cool.
Yeah. Then we go backstage to Jericho, and he's rewatching all the footage of him beating down Edge last week. But in comes the big Valboski. Oh, yeah. Who says, you must think like you're the king of the world right now. He says, you must think you're larger than life. He's like, but let's see how you feel tonight when when he puts my foot up your ass tonight. And he's just like, why is people wanting ass? First, Triple H wants Undertaker's ass. Val wants fucking Jericho's ass, although that one's more understandable. It's everywhere, and it doesn't even end there. It doesn't even end there with the ass stuff.
I love ass.
There's a lot of ass on this show. And we go straight to that match, but it's not what you think. You'd expect it just to be Jericho and Valboski, but it's not. It's a tag match. We have Jericho and Lance Storm versus Valboski and Billy Kidman. Now, Billy Kidman and Lance Storm had a match last week, which ended clean. Storm won. It ended clean, so I don't know why they're back in this, especially added to this little mini feud, but there you go. Kidman has new music, but so he obviously had his WCW thing up to this point, and you'd expect it to be that. It's not.
Oh.
It's some dubbed over piece of shit. And I was listening to it, I was like, I've never heard this theme before, so I went on YouTube. I was searching for it. I was like, Billy Kidman theme, 2002. Couldn't see it anywhere, and the only thing coming up in 2002 was that I Can Run theme. So I think they've dubbed it.
No,
I'm
because
gutted.
I like that theme. That
It's so good.
Hey, that's the only thing I remember about Billy Kidman.
Yeah. But it's Jim Johnston, but it's featuring some other guy. So I'm assuming
Fuck off.
they can't use his voice.
Move
I'm hoping
on.
like this is
I'm
just
over
like
it. That made me pissed off.
but yeah, it was generic as hell. But it's a standard tag match right up until the finish, and this is a shit show. I think half of it was intentional, half of it wasn't. So Kidman hits a shooting star press onto Lance Storm, and Jericho and Big Valboski are fighting outside the ring at this point, but Jericho gets the upper hand. So whilst the referee's counting, he gets to 2, and Jericho starts pulling the ref out of the ring. But as he pulls, the ref counts to 3. It's blatant, you can hear it, but the match doesn't end. A 3 count, but the match doesn't end. I don't think that was intentional, so away they go. The match carries on. Right. And then it gets to a point where Kidman rolls up Storm, so both their shoulders are down in this kind of like roll-up thing they've got going on, but Kidman lifts his arm up, or lifts his shoulder up at the 2 count, so he's fine. But what the referee didn't see was that Storm lifted his shoulder up at the same time, and therefore Kidman wins the match. So Storm is fuming. He's like, I've raised the arm. Jericho's pissed off, saying, fucking now do you not see it? It's not the end you'll see of that. But terrible refereeing from Brian Hebner. That was Earl Hebner's son, was it? Brian? Yeah, Brian, yeah. Brian. But yeah, shit ref. Then we go to an interview with Hulk Hogan. That noise right there is basically how I felt. So he's talking about Kurt being a coward for attacking him from behind last week, saying they do have similarities, like they both bleed red, white, and blue, and that they're both bold. But then it's just more Hogan shit that I zoned out of, and it eventually leads to him challenging Baldy to a match at King of the Ring. And I did zone out because it was as if Hogan drank like 16 fucking Red Bulls before he went into this promo. Like, he was jittery, he was energetic, and an energetic Hogan is not good. No, it pisses me off. So I literally zoned straight out. I was like, you fucking say what you want to do and I'll move on. I stopped writing notes at this point. Bugger off. But we remain backstage with Lance Storm, who chases down Brian Hebner, berates him for being shit at his job. But then he realizes who he is, and he says, well, you Hebners have a habit of screwing over great Canadians. And he's like, oh, Americans see what they want to see. So kind of a little seed plant in there for the un-Americans. They can't be that far away now. Then we go to an interview with Linda. Tough Enough 2 co-winner.
Oh, I think McMahon.
I was like, on McMahon. Yeah. So on that Velocity match, which everyone remembers, Ivory versus Linda. Jackie turned on Linda and sided with Ivory, which allowed Ivory to win. And there's a match tonight. It's going to be Ivory and Jackie versus Linda and a mystery partner, who is then revealed 5 seconds later. It is none other than Trish Stratus.
Oh, the women's champ. She's allowed to be anywhere. Mm-hmm. How you feeling, Trish, after losing to Molly, huh? Well,
she didn't seem that bothered.
Oh.
She seemed happy enough.
Was she talking about anyone's assholes tonight?
No.
Oh no,
There was
asshole
one.
mentions, okay.
There was one replay of Molly winning, and there was no mention of it outside of that.
Okay.
But yeah, so it looks like I say it looks like, I know because I watched the show. We're getting the first ever women's match, actual match that doesn't include fucking bras and panties or any of that shit, for the first time on Dits versus Josh
For SmackDown.
for SmackDown. Didn't take that long, did it? Really?
Well, yeah, I've had a
Christ.
women's match every fucking week, but you don't get one.
No, but I do tonight. Exciting stuff. Then we go backstage. Well, we remain backstage with Vince in his office. And funny old thing, he's on the phone getting confirmation that the destroyed camera does indeed cost 50 grand. Why? But in comes Kurt. Says, look, he accepts that the match has been made tonight for the tag match. But he's worried about what else Hogan said. So obviously I zoned out, but Kurt filled me in on the gaps. Basically, Hogan said he's going to reveal Kurt's baldness, and Kurt's just like, I don't know why Hogan's acting like I'm wearing a wig or something, and he's concerned that he's going to start pulling roots out of his scalp because it's going to hurt him. And then he gets Vince to pull on his hair to see if it's real. And at this point, Taker walks in, and questions being put in the tag match tonight. But Vince says, "Look, it's a calculated risk, but I think it's a safe bet that you will both win." And then here comes a little doozy. It was such a doozy that I actually posted it on the Dits versus Josh Twitter page at Dits versus Josh. Go follow that shit. Devon is in the ring, and he's here to address masturbation and how it's a sin.
I'm all ears.
And he's like, I used to partake in masturbation, but no more. And then he's like, I implore you to leave that thing alone. And then he goes, I'll be damned, or whatever Farouk's music is. And Farouk comes marching down to the ring, grabs a mic. And he's like, are you for real? Are you crazy? He says, like, you don't masturbate anymore? And he goes, you know what? I do. So there you go. Headline, Farouk still masturbates. They do actually have a match. It's not just a promo. So we talk about yanking dicks, and then we go into a match. Farouk hits a Dominator in less than 5 seconds for the win. And then Batista comes in with his little donation box, but Farouk clocks him with a big boot, knocking the collection box into Batista's face, and Farouk walks off. So that was a great little segment.
I stand with Farouk.
I do. All right, Farouk, you do you. Literally. Then we go to... where are we? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was focused on the word masturbation. So we go to the Ivory and Jackie versus Trish and Linda match. And like I said...
Speaking of masturbation, here we go.
You said it. You said it.
I get women's matches. I ain't the sexist show over here. I'm doing fine. They're my favorite segments of the week. These women's segments, and well, for the most part, not always, but for the most part.
Yeah, it's not good. The first women's match I get is not good, and obviously it's not. You've got two people who are green as hell,
yeah,
and you've got Trish Stratus who isn't in her peak yet, and then you've got Ivory who I've always liked Ivory.
Yeah, right to censor Ivory.
Good hand.
Mwah.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
What a woman.
But yeah, there's a lot of green, and it honestly it just plods along up until the point where Trish hits Stratisfaction on Ivory for the win. So no terrible looking running bulldog.
Wait, hold up. Yeah, is Trish actually doing the strat? Actually, she went for it on Raw, but she didn't hit it. Molly reversed it. Oh, so Trish is doing that as a finish at this stage now. And
they call it Stratisfaction as well, so it's now a thing.
Okay,
they've got rid of the running bulldog.
Women's champ gets a win.
Now, strap yourself in.
Is it main event time? Oh no, it's the segment. Oh, okay.
It's my main event. Creepy Vince was absent last week, and after already seeing Vince in his office earlier tonight, I thought, we're going to go 2 weeks without any Creepy Vince. But my fears were taken away the moment that Stacy walked in with a sleazed up shirt on. You know, she'd like had a shirt, but she tied it up so her torso show him. And we know that Vince loves belly buttons, so he's fucking happy as gold.
Yeah, Vince would be living.
So Stacey comes in, Vince gives it like a little twirl, and he's just like, oh, like old man fucking grunty noises. And Stacey's like, oh, I wish I was there to see you win on Monday. I was just like, is it really true that you now own everything? And Vince is like, I do own everything. And he says that whilst thrusting himself into Stacey. Like it is a proper like he grabs her, thrusts in.
Oh no.
And Vince is like, oh, he says, after Monday, he goes, I'm starting to feel more like myself. And there's a side of him that you have never seen. Oh, here we go. And says for the record, by the way, he says, says for the record, you now have to call me Mr. McMahon from now on. Which I'm sure she was anyway.
Man, speaking of masturbation, here we go.
But then there's a knock on the door as they're about to lock lips.
Let me guess. It's Chris Jericho.
It usually, to be fair, yes, it usually is Chris Jericho, but it's actually Dawn Marie.
I was going to ask what the fuck. Has she come in like 2 weeks ago when I watched that episode of SmackDown and she's been non-existent since then? Oh, he's about to bone both of them. Oh, no.
We have Dawn Marie knocking on the door, but Vince is just like, he says, oh no, and that's when it's revealed that it's Dawn Marie at the door. And after there's no answer, she presses her ear to the door to listen to what's going on inside, and now Vince is just like, I don't want you to get that door. I want you to get this. And Vince goes in for this weird lip wiping thing. So, I mean, you can see visually that people obviously are listening to this, they can't, but he's kind of like, there's his lip, and he's like, like he wipes his lip against Stacey's lip. It's really weird. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Is this what we haven't seen before? Is this your way of fucking... There's no wonder you focus on belly buttons if you can't make a fucking kiss. He fucking wipes his lips on her.
Okay.
But Stacey's cringing, which is odd because I'm sure they fucked. It's been implied. But she's cringing at this. She's like literally just like, ugh. But it doesn't end there. No, it doesn't, because then Vince goes in for a full-on smooch. And usually the camera cuts away for this, but we get to watch this thing.
Oh no.
It's proper like, you know, like when you used to practice kissing on your arm when you were like 6. It's just like it's one of them. It's like,
yes, not at 24, at 6. Yes.
But she got like her hands up, like and she's not into it. And Vince pulls away, and he's just like, oh yeah. But Stacey's like trying to like fake a smile and stuff like that, and it was disgusting. It was horrible. But I just don't understand why Stacey was cringed at it.
Right.
Because I'm sure they've done stuff at this point. It's weird. But that's creepy Vince at its peak, I would say, because we got to see some stuff.
Right. Nice.
We remain backstage, and Hogan is I've put hedging to his match, but he's heading to his match, and Taker blocks him off, allowing Angle to sneak up from behind and taking Hogan out. It is the weakest looking attack ever, and it's not because of Angle, it's because of how Hogan sells it. Like, Angle throws him into like these, you know, the metal poles that you get backstage that make all kinds of racket. Angle pushes like Hogan towards it, but Hogan kind of just goes limps against it, doesn't even hit the poles, just kind of kicks them to one side and then falls on the floor, and that's enough to take him out of the match. Because then we go to that match, and it's the Undertaker. He makes his entrance, and whilst Kurt Angle's making his entrance, Triple H attacks. So Triple H goes in the ring. So Angle's out on the outside. Triple H gets in the ring and goes straight for Taker. So he's attacking Taker for a little bit, but then Angle recovers, and it is basically Angle and Taker who have control for the most part of this match. Shock horror. And they kind of like alternate, taking advantage of ref distractions by getting additional blows onto Triple H outside the ring. And it carries on like that. Eventually, Triple H gets the upper hand, throws Kurt into the steel steps, and something completely fucking random, another referee fuck up, whether it was intentional or not, he hits Taker with a chair, like lays him out over the back. There's no DQ. And there wasn't any shout of any no DQ stipulations before the match or when it was announced, anything like that. No DQ.
Fuck.
I'm like, what the fuck is
Why?
going on here? But then after he's hit Taker with the chair, Taker rolls into the ring. Triple H then gets a sledgehammer from under the ring. I was like, well, I've missed something here clearly, because if he's now going for a sledgehammer, there must be that stipulation of no DQ. There has to be. But no, he fucking clocks Taker in the gut, and a DQ is called.
What the fuck?
Why?
Right.
I'm just like, I don't understand. But Triple H carries on the attack anyway. But then Angle recovers, hits the Angle slam in the ring. And he goes off celebrating. Angle's music's there. Obviously, they've won the match by DQ. Funny old thing. But whilst he's backtracking up the ramp, out comes limping Hulk Hogan, our favorite, and basically runs Kurt back down to the ring. And now it's Triple H like exchanging punches to Kurt. So Triple H punches Kurt and he bounces into Hogan, and we get that repeating shite. Before finally, oh wait, no, he doesn't do that. Triple H goes for the pedigree, but gets flipped over Kurt. And whilst he's like flipped over, like he's kind of like laying there on the ground, you know, like they would, like if they were trying to pull them down for that little fucking pin thing, he pulls down his trunks. So you initially see red thong, which we've seen with Angle before on SmackDown, but he pulls the thong down as well. So you get full on bare ass. And the humiliation doesn't end there for Angle, because then he gets pushed into Hogan, who then rips off his wig. So he's got bare ass, bare head, and then he turns and gets pedigreed. So his pants are down, he's bald, even though we knew that anyway, but not a good night for Kurt Angle. But then we get, and if I never see this again, I will be happy, because I fucking can't stand it. Triple H and Hogan sharing fucking Hulkamania Hulk stuff. All this crap, like I hate it. Like they did it last week. They've done it this week again. I can't be doing with that. But that's how the show goes off the air. Not the last thing I want to remember. I'd rather see Kurt Angle's ass, the last thing that I see, rather than that shit. But there you go. A pretty good SmackDown, actually, now that I've talked about it. It wasn't actually that bad.
So much ass over both of these shows.
It was a lot of ass.
There was so much ass reference on Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, very sexually charged wrestling shows this week, especially with Vince. Christ.
Well, that's our shows this week. They're actually pretty good. They were better than last week's shows, because last week's shows weren't great. But this week's were better and very pivotal in what happens going forward. It actually matters. So that's nice. Yeah, cool. Well, that was kind of everything. Dits, what do you got to put yourself over with this week?
So this Sunday, airing alongside the main Backlash pre-show, Anthony and I on the Dow Pod, the Dits on Wrestling podcast, are going to be doing our own little pre-show experience with a made-up bullshit card. And basically, we'll be improving the whole thing like we've done with previous two pay-per-views, Money in the Bank and WrestleMania. We've got Nia Jax and Tamina in the greatest wrestling match ever. Paul Heyman's against Bruce Pritchard in a stationary match. There's all kinds of crap.
Well, that really goes with what's going on right now. So that's nice.
Yeah. Annoyingly, the story was fed that they work in adjacent offices, and Bruce Pritchard has been putting up shelves for the last 4 weeks, which has annoyed Heyman, so he starts flinging pencils. But that's probably ruined now, but there you go. But it fits, kind of, so it's relevant. But anyway, that's going down on Sunday live on YouTube. So I'll be in the chat. Anthony will be in the chat as well. So yeah, come and join in because it's going to be a damn sight better than the main pre-show.
Yeah. I don't know what to add. I was like, yes. Agreed. I agree. They are fun shows. I like when I like listening to those because they're the inside
Nonsense.
of my brain. Yeah, they're just nonsense, and I like that. They don't really make a lot of sense, and I'm into it. I'm very into it. So yeah, listen to that. What have I got coming up? Oh, this Sunday night, 10 p.m. Australian Adelaide time. Just do a little time conversion, and you'll find out when. Me and Mags will be live on my Twitch, twitch.tv/JoshRobertson00 for some Backlash predictions. So we're going to predict the greatest wrestling match ever. We did it for TakeOver last Sunday night. We did it for Money in the Bank the month before. And me and Mags have a lot of fun with that because we just kind of get to chat about the month that was of wrestling, I guess. So I'm actually kind of looking forward to all Backlash and stuff like this. So because of Backlash, again, we won't be here on Monday. We'll be here Monday week. So, you know, it's only an extra 9 days away, whatever, however, I don't do math, but I think it's like 9 or 10 days away and we'll be back to normal. So, I guess enjoy Backlash, enjoy whatever's kind of going on, stay safe, all of that kind of stuff. And yeah, you know where to find us on Twitter at this stage. I'll put it in the links in the description below, and you know where to find us, at this point. And Dits, you have more kind of announcements that's coming up soon, don't you? You have like some stuff that's happening, don't you? Kind of.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so the Dow Pod is moving to Mondays. So I've got 2 announcements and that one I did reveal yesterday or the day before, I think it was. But yeah, the Dits on Wrestling podcast is now on Mondays, so you get double Dits. You get Dits versus Josh, and you get the Dits on Wrestling podcast the same day.
Same day. Dits versus Josh, I think, would probably drop a little bit earlier, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then mine would be out like evening UK time, I'd say.
So you have time to listen to Dits versus Josh, and then when you're like, oh, I'm not sick of Dits yet, you go and listen to Dits on his own show.
Hell yes. But we also have another announcement to make, which I'll do after the 50th episode. That's what it is this week, the 50th episode of the Dow Pod. After that airs, we have another announcement, which is a brand new series that me and Anthony are taking on. It will take up a couple of weeks, and we're dedicating ourselves to it. So you won't get any other content apart from what is in this series, and it's going to be really, really good.
Not to trump you or anything, but next Friday is Wrestling Reverb episode 100. It is the big 100 episode of Wrestling Reverb. I've done more than 100 episodes of Reverb, but because we have Mania to Mania and we have Reverb Rewind, they don't count as official episodes. So it's the official 100th episode this time next week. Guys, you'll get Reverb 100. So me and Kevin are going to have a nice party. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to kind of look back on Reverb, and it's kind of time because it's kind of crazy to me that it's 100 episodes. I'm coming up on 2 years doing podcasting. That's kind of bizarre to me. So yeah, there's that. I don't really have anything else to promote other than that. So enjoy Backlash, enjoy whatever you're doing with your weekend. And I hope you enjoyed this special Friday edition of Dits versus Josh. Dits,
flagship.
Anything else you want to add, or other than flagship?
No, I was hoping to sign off with that.
Well,
and print that on the minds of everybody before they leave.
I really fucked you over there, so I'm glad I could do that. All right, everyone. I hope you have a lovely time. Bye.